Antoine Griezmann getting a chance to lift a trophy before he departs for Orlando City.
Yeah.
How significant will this be for his legacy with the club, and how do you see it going for him in this final Copa del Rey in his career?
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Because it's against the first team that he played for in Spain, of course. Real Sociedad were his first team, played over 200 games for them, as a strong bond with them. I think Antoine Griezmann's legacy, it sort of transcends trophies, because, you know, what he's done for Atletico Madrid, he's their all-time leading goal scorer. Everybody says he's probably the best player in their history. Yet, there's a little asterisk there saying he's never won La Liga, didn't win the Champions League. His trophy haul has not been as big for a player of his immense, extraordinary quality. So I think to win another trophy with Atletico Madrid would be huge, but his legacy is enormous with Atletico Madrid, whatever happens. Now, you know, we're looking ahead. If he was to lift the Champions League, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, I think that would elevate him to mythical, almost godlike status with Atletico Madrid. But, you know, this Copa del Rey final, it would be a lovely, lovely send-off for him, but he's still, you know, thought of as probably the best player to ever play for Atleti.
Phil, were you surprised at all about the quality that he still possesses? Because I'm watching in that Champions League when he's playing Barcelona. He still looks like he could play at the highest level for years. He still looks incredible with his movement, his touches, and his passing.
He's so good, and you know, Orlando City are getting an unbelievably good player. I know he's 35, but as you said, he can still perform and not look in any way out of place. Can sort of run games at the highest level. Maybe not for 90 minutes, but for 60 minutes or so, he can still perform at the very, very highest level. I am not surprised that he is leaving to go to MLS. He has wanted to play, and he's wanted to live in the USA for a long time. We knew that in Spain. He's fascinated with the USA, loves American sports, wants to have that experience of living in the USA. So we're not surprised that he's going to MLS. We were a little bit surprised when it was suggested that he was going to go mid-season. We're like, whoa, hold on, you've got the Cup, you've got the Champions League, you've still got stuff to play for. So the fact that he's sticking around to the end of the campaign is nice to see, and it can still end really, really well, and it can end with him being extremely important as well. You know, he's not being a bit part player here. He is, you know, third top scorer for Atleti in the league this season. He has run some really, really important games, and he's still a joy to watch. And we're still here talking about Atletico Madrid and all the players that they've bought in over the last 2 years, and still Antoine Griezmann and Koke, the two veterans, are absolutely vital to them.
What a storyline it would be for those two and Cholo Simeone, right, if they were to get their hands on that trophy, as well as Copa del Rey. Phil, last question for me. Football is about fixture congestion nowadays, right? When you look at the numbers, I think Atleti, since the international break, have played 4 matches. Real Sociedad, only dos. How much will that impact this final, given at the final whistle, we saw Atleti players just look exhausted, on the ground, just hand over their head, albeit in celebration?
I think it could, man. I think it could. And as I mentioned before, you know, Real Sociedad are all about high intensity, about those sprints, about, you know, covering meters really, really quickly, constant repetitive sprints. So the fact that they've had longer to prepare this game, I think, is potentially very, very important.
Pellegrino Matarazzo has been feeling really good since joining Real Sociedad. Are you surprised by this, Lahoud?
No, I think talking to some contacts in the Bundesliga, he's highly regarded with being a project manager in Germany. I know that how things ended for him before getting this job maybe took a bit of a knock in some of kind of the perception of him, but for me, watching his impact on this Real Sociedad side, it just seems like the timing of him coming in has just been the perfect psychological reset for La Real. Because last season it was a bit underwhelming. They finished 11th. They're not a mid-table side. We're used to seeing them in Europe, right? We're used to seeing them only a couple of seasons ago in the UEFA Champions League, and they were one of the darlings of the UEFA Champions League. I think they topped a group in the UEFA Champions League as well. So what I love is that the identity that they have, there's an aggression that he's given this La Real side. You see it, and I think it was mentioned that they have come from being a counter-attacking side that just sits back, absorbs pressure, organized, and then hits on the front, to a side that high presses. And I think the match that epitomized it most was the match against Barcelona. We covered it on Scoreline, and if there was a template for this is the best version of them, I think it's that. And they've actually had good showings against Atletico Madrid. His debut match was a match against Atleti at home, and in my opinion, they were the better team. So he's going to have to prove it in the Copa del Rey final, but it's good to see an American Chuck on the big stage.
Yeah, I would say I am surprised at his success. To come in and have seven games where you just kind of turn the tide right away. For me, it's you come in and not only do you turn the whole ship around, but you get them playing good football again. That was a big surprise for me, for them to already be on the precipice of maybe getting into Europe. We were talking about maybe preventing them from getting relegated to now they're pushing for a chance to get into Europe for next season. So he's done a tremendous job. I have nothing but positive things to say about his experience right now at Real Sociedad.
What about for American soccer in general, though? Because there is this narrative that American coaches or coaches that have coached in MLS can't really be successful in Europe's top 5. If he was to win tomorrow with Real Sociedad, how would that change that narrative, Chuck?
It would change it drastically. I mean, I think of the managers that have gone over and has had some success. So Bob Bradley, for instance, he was the first U.S. manager to really go out there and test himself, and I thought he did relatively well, but never getting a chance to really see out the project in the Premier League, right, with Swansea. Then Jesse Marsch went over, did his thing in Austria, but then in the Premier League fell short. In Germany, certainly fell short. And then Wilfried Nancy, of course, not a great testament to leave MLS and go to Celtic and have it not go so well. But with this, I'm so upbeat and optimistic that Pellegrino Matarazzo can do something special, simply because Atletico Madrid are going to be so worn out from giving everything they possibly had to get over the line versus Barcelona. I don't know how much energy they'll have for this game versus Real Sociedad coming in all rested and ready to go. And this could be a defining legacy for Pellegrino Matarazzo, not only with Real Sociedad, but for an American manager in Europe to win in a top 5 league, a cup competition. It's massive. So go on and do it. We're all excited. It's a fantastic opportunity for an American manager to kind of rewrite the script, because it has been challenging for Americans to do well in those managerial positions in Europe.
It'd be gigantic. Pellegrino Matarazzo is a very interesting character. He's a very thoughtful, inquisitive guy. He left Hoffenheim because the directors that hired him, it was a really bad internal situation. He brought that team some success. He's had a lot of success in the Bundesliga, and he's been a trailblazer for American coaches in Europe. He was contacted by MLS clubs. He said, maybe one day, but right now I want to focus on Europe for my next step, my next project. He had some talks with the U.S. national team, and he was even he was like, I get why you would be going for Mauricio Pochettino or somebody of that ilk. Like, he's very well aware.
He wanted that job.
He thinks that this wasn't, he would have, right, if they offered him. I'm certain of that. But he was like, I understand why me as being like a project builder, versus you're 2 years away from the World Cup and we need results now, right? He was pretty much like, I get it. I probably would do the same thing if I was you. This is a guy who, he had to force himself to not watch too many games, because he's like, I need to take a mental break, a mental reset. And then as he's watching games again, he's thinking out, plotting out, where do I want to go? He was contacted by some other teams before Sociedad came up, and this was the job he really wanted. And he wants to play that high-pressing brand of soccer, that energetic brand of soccer, what he brought into Germany. He's a tactician, but he's also a good man manager. Even all of that, I'm a huge fan of his. You cannot say that you saw this kind of immediate success coming, and what an incredible story, and what a potential capstone he could have this weekend with the Copa del Rey.
Well, why don't we bring in our Spanish football correspondent, Phil Kitzmalides. Phil, we've kept you waiting there, clearly, because we love Pellegrino Matarazzo over here in the US. But what's it like over in Spain? How are the Spanish fans adapting to him? Do they like him?
Oh, they absolutely love him in San Sebastian. They're really, really taken to him, because I think, he's taken to the situation as well. He walks around the city of San Sebastian every day. He goes for a walk. He stops into a bar for a glass of wine and a pincho. He interacts with people. People see that and they like him. Obviously, it helps that he's winning matches. They maybe wouldn't be so friendly if they weren't winning matches. But listen, since he's taken over, if the league started when Rino Matarazzo took over, Real Sociedad would be 4th. He's been extraordinary what he's done. I think, he took over a group of players that were underperforming. There were some terrific players there, and he needed to get the best out of them. He took over a side that the capacity to play the football that he wanted to play. You know, Real Sociedad have been top in terms of high intensity sprints throughout the season for La Liga, and that is something that obviously he think, I can utilize that. And he's got them playing brilliantly well. You know, I was looking through the squad and the team, projected team for the final tomorrow, and the projected team for the final tomorrow, they're all under 30. Nobody is over the age of 30. It's a young, hungry team that have bought into this guy, and you were talking a bit about his backstory. It's an unbelievable backstory. You know, this is a guy who got a degree in applied mathematics from Columbia University, and instead of going into finance or you know, making serious money, he said, no, I want to go and play 3rd or 4th division football in Germany. And then even when his career finished, he stayed there. He said, no, I want to try and coach. And he has wanted this. You know, the fact that he's wanted this so badly. He's worked so hard, and the fact that he's in a final tomorrow, it's just a terrific story. And obviously we can talk about Atletico Madrid as well, and there is another American in the Atletico Madrid roster. But for Rino Materazzo, it's almost like the pinnacle of his life's work is this final tomorrow. He's worked so hard to get here, and he will feel that he will go on and achieve more things. But it's just amazing what he's done. Amazing.
What's the outlook? You hinted at Johnny Cardoso, the American on Atletico Madrid. Do you think that he's in contention to start or play a role in this game?
Yeah, I think he is. I think, listen, we've seen throughout the season that this first season for Johnny Cardoso has been massively disrupted by injuries. I think he's missed 15, 16, 17 games through injuries. The idea was that he and Pablo Barrios were going to be the new pairing in the midfield for Atletico Madrid, and both of them have been injured, and that hasn't really happened. But I think we've seen when he's been fit and available, Diego Simeone has picked him, and he's picked him in big games. You know, in the Champions League when he was available, he picked him against Inter. He picked him home and away against Spurs. He started the Madrid derby in the Liga. He started in the Copa del Rey against Barcelona. So when he's available and he's fully fit, Diego Simeone likes him, wants him, believes in him. He is the kind of player that Simeone was crying out for years. They went out and signed him this summer, and it hasn't worked out because of injuries so far. But I think, yeah, he's got a really, really good chance of starting tomorrow, and we'll have two guys from New Jersey contesting the Copa del Rey final, which is great.
All right, so why don't we preview some of these semi-finals? Tony, let's start off with you. Who has the edge going into the game of Bayern Munich taking on PSG? Remember, PSG won this tournament last year.
Man, I'm a fan of PSG. I'm also a fan of Bayern, by the way.
You got Bayern to win.
I do, and I said from the start I was going to pick Bayern. I stayed with Bayern, but I love the way PSG plays. Of the teams that I like watching, they're one of them for sure. I keep telling you, Vitinha will become my favorite player in the world when Luka Modric retires, right? And then he becomes my favorite. But so in the attacking part of the field, when I think about Kane, Diaz, Olise against Cavada, Dembele, and Doué, this is a really tough one. I'm gonna flip my imaginary coin, and I'm gonna go with Bayern Munich because of the number of goals that they've scored this season in the attack. In the midfield, I think this one is a little bit easier, for me. When I think about Vitinha, Zaire Emery, and Neves, the engine of PSG is the midfield for me. So I give the midfield to PSG. Defense and keeper. So they made a big change in goal, right? Chevalier is not the goalkeeper anymore. Safanov has come in. They brought him to replace Donnarumma, Chevalier. So they've got some question marks there. But I think there is a question mark with Bayern's defense between Ta and Upamecano, and maybe a little bit mistake prone. This one is a toss-up. If there's any way to not put an X in, I would do it.
Put it over the defense/keeper, right in the middle.
Take out yesterday, I'm going to slightly give it to Bayern Munich because of Manuel Neuer's experience in Champions League. I'll go back a week ago on how good he was compared to yesterday, where I'm going to look at it as maybe more of a one-off, if you will. So coaching Luis Enrique, because I think this one is the easy one. He's won a Champions League. Vincent Kompany is in this position now for the first time. So that goes to PSG. The bench is an interesting one as well. There's no chance to put two X's. Luis Enrique only made 3 substitutions in the match the other day because I don't know that he wanted to go too deep in his bench. Toss up, but I'm going to give it slightly to Bayern Munich.
Okay, so that means you think Bayern Munich have the edge going into this game, but different categories.
Yeah, different categories, and again, I picked Bayern Munich to win it, right, and go through. So maybe that is the separator. I don't know. The benches are always important in moments like this. You don't know when the substitution patterns will happen and all of that, but slight edge to Bayern Munich. But those, you could have flipped a couple of those either way.
Yeah. Who is the edge going into the other semi-final? Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid. Remember, they met in the league phase, and Arsenal beat them 4-0.
Yeah, that was a thrashing, and I think that things will be much different. In the knockout rounds, there is not that much separation between these two teams. But if we're going to go category by category, we're going to start in the attack. I'm going to give that to Atletico Madrid because of Julian Alvarez and Antoine Griezmann, but particularly I think Alvarez is the best attacker in this series.
Even Sorloth. Sorloth's a fantastic player.
We'll get to him in a different category. Midfield, we're gonna go with Arsenal. Even though Zubimendi has dropped off recently, Declan Rice is a world-class player. Arsenal's engine room there, I think I'm going to give it to them over Atletico Madrid because Atletico Madrid have a lot of very good players, none quite to the ability of Declan Rice. Plus, like, Llorente is kind of everywhere all at once. I don't know, he's a midfielder, but you can also put him as a fullback or a wide player or whatever. I'm going to give that to Arsenal. Defense and keeper, I'm also give that to Arsenal. We're talking about it. They are, I believe, the best defensive team in Europe right now. So that one goes to them, though. Obviously, any Cholo Simeone team can match it up defensively with the greats. Coaching, Cholo Simeone. For me, I don't think that is close either. Not disrespect to Arteta. That is just how much I believe and respect Cholo Simeone, right? And bench, I'm going to go with Atletico Madrid. Cholo Simeone has done really, really well at managing this group and knowing kind of the right times to bring guys in and also how to manage. Like, Antoine Griezmann wants to play 90 minutes. Alexander Sorloth wants to be a starter. You go on down the list, and it takes a special group to have buy-in from all these players and to say, hey, whether you're starting, whether you're coming off the bench, whether we pull you at 60 minutes or you get to go 90, everybody's bought in. So for me, Atletico Madrid have the advantage there, but just like, for different reasons, but just like the other semifinal tie, these two teams are so very tight.
But let's quickly go through mine. So completely busted because I had Barcelona going through. I should have picked Bayern Munich. I should have known better. Galatasaray, I had too much faith in them against Liverpool. I had too much faith in Manchester City being able to get past Real Madrid. Barcelona, who I said are my winners, and I thought that Bodo Glimt could continue the Cinderella story. I did have Arsenal taking them down, but Tony Meola, let's pull yours up and see how yours turned out. I think you're still doing pretty well here.
Oh, wow.
Not as many red marks as mine, Tone.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, Claudia.
He was remembering.
I'm trying to remember who I picked. I got
your glasses on.
I got Bayern. Yeah, I know. I've got Bayern as the champion still there. I think that's the one on the left that kind of I was up in the air. But I went with Bayern because I said day one of Champions League, match day one, we were asked to pick a winner. And I picked Bayern, and I wasn't going to change from what I picked, whatever couple months it was ago that I did. So I stayed with Bayern. But yeah, I like it.
This looks good. Hannah was really hoping that we would have done this yesterday because she would look like an absolute genius because she has Real Madrid at the top. So she went from being the top winner to near the bottom of our rankings. But Hannah, walk us through this. You had something going with Real Madrid.
Yeah, I just want to come on here and say we were supposed to do the segment yesterday, and for timing reasons, we had to push it to today. And I would have been top of the leaderboard. This would be looking a whole lot less red if we'd done it yesterday.
You would have built it up, though, and then I think we would have done this again today. So you would have set yourself up for a steeper drop.
I think I could have been the only person at the Golazo network to have put Real Madrid beating Manchester City, and I was really proud of that one. But then yesterday it was so close. I was watching with my hand like in prayer position, but they couldn't get it done.
Lots of reds there. But so, as we talked about, Hannah, let's not even talk about where your ranking is. Let's talk about where I am.
I was where Ian Joy is right now.
Sitting. This is our leaderboard here for Champions League. Ian Joy at the top. So does that mean Tony Meola is second right now?
I think that's what it means, Claudia, by being in that position. Yeah.
I'm really joint third. If I'm looking at it as a leaderboard, I'm tied third.
Well, if you're looking at it like that, we can pretend that. Ian Joy, though, he will eventually lose that top spot because he did pick Barcelona to win it all. So maybe Tony or Marco Messina or JD or Jimmy Conrad. I don't know how this is going to shape up. Right now, those are the three that are leading, so maybe eventually.
Do they all have different winners? Do they all have different winners
I think they all
picked?
have Bayern Munich. Yeah, because JD, being an Arsenal fan, didn't pick Arsenal to win it all. I still think Bayern is going to win it now. Now that I see how it's all worked out, I should have picked Bayern. Now I can predict everything now. But, guys, let's do an early semifinal preview.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the semifinals. I really enjoyed the bracket challenge. I think that's quite an American sports thing, isn't it, bracket?
It is very much, yeah.
Aaron and I would have enjoyed it too if we got our invite, if we got the code.
We got left out.
Next year.
I have my bracket up. I've got 13 points and Bayern wins.
Well, there we go. Lovely stuff, everyone. The semi-finals are set in the Champions League. We have our final four. You can catch these games on Paramount Plus. April 28th, Bayern Munich taking on PSG, and April 29th, Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid. And also, everyone, for the second year in a row, that Paramount Plus, we have Beckham and Friends. David Beckham will be doing a watch-along during the second legs of the semi-finals with all of his A-list friends and also our Champions League desk.